everybody, Brooklyn Attic Books here. I am ready to give you my October wrap up for this year. So, like I had mentioned many moons ago, I was doing something a little bit different for the month of October, or basically for the fall. I'm trying to read more indie authors, and on my indie horror author journey, I discovered a lot of new indie authors actually have their ebooks readily available for free download on either NetGalley or Book Sirens if you have an e-reader, which I took the bait and got one finally. If you don't already follow me on Goodreads, please do so. I have the same name, Brooklyn Attic Books, and I usually tend to post my sort of not long-winded. I try to keep them fairly moderate and fairly spoiler-free. If I do put spoilers, I tend to say, okay, now this is the spoiler section. So I try really hard to not give spoilers during my reviews, during my videos. I know some of my friends have said, oh, what if I read that book? So I turned it off. No, don't turn it off, because I will not give spoilers like that. I will give you my honest opinion, and I will give you the setup of the book, or so, maybe put some discussion ideas out there. But I guess if you're already watching a book review, then you're bound to some spoilers of some kind, even if it's just the idea of it. My list is a total of 9 ebooks, and I will count them down from worst to coming best. In at number 9 is the worst book I read in a very, very long time. I basically bit my lip and continued reading through it until the end, and I wanted to I wish I could have thrown it out the window, but it was on my Kindle, so I didn't do that. It is called Good Girls Don't Die by Christina Henry. This is some basic shit. Oh my God. Please do not read this. I gave it a 1 star because I couldn't give it a 0 star. It is as if an alien looked and analyzed humans and was like, hey, we're going to write a thriller. And it was so bad. The descriptions in it, I can't even. It's probably going to be the #1 seller at Target. Probably. Who knows? Pick it up with your fucking pumpkin spice latte. Why don't you? Okay, moving on. Oh, everybody loved this book, and I gave it 2 stars. All right, so it is Green Fuse Burning by Tiffany Morris. I didn't hate it, but I don't understand what the point of it was, other than this grief horror. But it wasn't even horror. So this book came out, I think, like a couple days ago, and it had things attached to it, themes attached to it, like Goblin Core and Swamp Core. And who comes up with these core titles? Like, is it just like a couple people use it and then it's like a thing? I don't know. Anyway, nothing really happens in this book. I'm dead honest about that. I'm not sure what happened. It's very atmospheric. It's very like cutesy. The way the words play together, the way the descriptions and the prose, it's beautiful, but nothing happens in the book. Read it because everybody's raving about it. Read it because it's like 150 pages. It's a short novella, whatever. But don't read it because I recommended it. I'm not recommending this book. I'm not sure why it's as popular as it is. Coming in at number 7, I have Melonhead Mayhem, which is part of the VHS horror series of books. I'm not too sure. There's a couple of them in the series, but this was my first one, and this is by Alex. I gave this a 3 star just because it reminded me of reading the YA horrors. If this was more geared towards adults, it didn't really show that, but I wish it would have had more comedy, more horror. I feel like the book took itself a little too seriously, whereas it was kind of fun, you know, the Michigan melon heads. And I didn't know this, but apparently that's a folk legend in Michigan, and I had to actually confirm that with six is, this is not technically a book, but this is a series of short stories. This was Amazon Prime's creature feature of 6 short stories written by authors like Joe Hill and Paul Tremblay and Josh Malerman, and there's a couple other names that I was actually, this was my first experience with them. Excellent series. Why I put this at number 6 is because even though I read this for October, this was really a list for indie authors, so I feel like it's kind of cheating throwing the professionals in there. But excellent series. I did give these guys a 4 out of 5. Getting down to the final 5. Number 5 for me was The Horror at Pleasant Brook by Kevin Lucia. I hope I said that correctly. This book has so much death, so much gore. It was so much fun. I gave this 4 stars. Why I liked it is because when I was a kid, not only did I get introduced to the horror world through Stephen King, but I got introduced to it through Dean Koontz as well. And this book specifically reminds me of Phantoms, but with that bumped up next level, like death, gore. I loved it. You want a really good horror read? There's your book. At number 4, I have Our Black Hearts Beat as One by Brian Asman. And this book was really, really fun. It's a wild ride. It's a short read. It's a novella. But it's more like dark fantasy. Guy has a broken heart, makes a deal with the devil type of thing, right? And it bites him in the ass. So it's a really fun read. I don't want to give too much away. It's fun and it's out there, and I hope you guys look for it and read it. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. At number 3, I have Saint Grit by Kaylee Schultz. Oh boy, was this book just pure fucking evil, huh? You have to read it to see it and to see what the heck I'm talking about. It is a dark fantasy, but it's about an evil witch, and I don't know how this woman becomes so evil, but damn, she's evil. You got to read it to really appreciate it. And number 2, I have Feeding the Void by Morgan Tanner. This is another short novella that is just about pure evil. It is so wild, and it's like a generational cosmic horror passed out. It's so wild. You have to read it. A lot of crazy shit happens in this book. And now, as my number 1 read for October, my most favorite book from this past month that I haven't stopped being able to talk about is Apparitions by Adam Pottle. Holy shit. So this is technically I don't know. It's wild. You can see it happening. I think I made a book review about it an episode or 2 ago. You have to read it. It's about a deaf kid, and why it's written so well is because the author is actually deaf himself. So, I mean, hats off to this story. It really blew me away. It was really well written. I can totally picture the whole thing. All the characters, the coldness of the world, and the reality of how things unfold. I mean, it's wild. It's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy story. And I really hope you pick up a copy and enjoy. And I'll see you guys soon.